Update. I am at a loss as to what to do with my 54 male wife 51 female hall pass request. My wife and I have been married since 2001 and together since 1999. She's the most intelligent, thoughtful, caring, loyal person I know, and I have always thought of myself as fortunate to have met and married her. She is, even today, aesthetically beautiful, and men have told her this throughout our marriage, and she has always shot them down. Earlier this year, she was diagnosed with uterine cancer stage 1 and had full hysterectomy. I was never concerned about the cancer. It was diagnosed early, dealt with quickly, and she made a full recovery. I took time off work to look after her after the surgery, and all seemed well. There were some to be expected emotional instances on her part, and although I am not an emotional person, we dealt with them together. After her recovery, she was insistent that we start living life to the fullest and took a 10-day trip to Europe, followed by a trip to Belize. We also have a trip to the UK and Spain/Portugal later this year. I am fine with these things, building memories and crossing bucket list adventures off her/our list. I also understand that these are a result of feeling fragile on her part. She also took up yoga, swimming, and healthy cooking classes. I was fully on board until last week. Last week, she came home from work and told me she wanted a hall pass, a one-time opportunity for her to sleep with someone else besides me. She said that since her cancer diagnosis, her outlook on life has changed, and she doesn't want to be handcuffed from doing things she wants to do. She explained that there is this guy at her work that she has always had some attraction to. He is leaving the company, and she will never see him again. So this is the perfect opportunity to sleep with someone else. She said that I could say no, of course, but that she would be mad/disappointed at me for an indeterminate amount of time, and that it would be confirmation of my male toxicity and insecurity. I don't consider myself to be toxic, and if not wanting your wife of 20 plus years to sleep with someone else is insecure, then I guess I am insecure. I told her that I appreciated her talking to me about this, but approval via coercion is not approval. I also said that I do not appreciate her language in describing my as of yet unknown reaction to this very large issue that could affect the rest of our marriage/life. I got up in the morning and she basically said that she was sorry for putting such a large decision solely on my shoulders, and that to help, she was taking the decision away from me. She booked a hotel near where her coworkers are having a party/send-off for this guy, and she would spend the night there with him in hopes that I would be here when she got back. That she would answer any questions I have about the night after it happened, but not before. She will not tell me who he is or anything about him because she knows me too well, and that I will dwell and obsess over him, and that would make it too real for me, which is pretty accurate. Her point of view is that the less I know, the better, which contradicts the offer to tell me anything I want to know after it happened. I think she knows I won't want to know/ask anything, or she simply will not tell me. Part of me thinks, at least, she has been honest with me, and she has been through a lot since finding out she had cancer. So maybe I should just let it happen. I certainly have no concept of what she went through, so I cannot dismiss how this affected her mental state/outlook on life. Part of me wants to put my foot down and say this is not going to happen and deal with those consequences when they happen. Her BFF called me callous for even suggesting that I wouldn't let it happen because I have no idea what she went through. I find it hard to believe that she is okay with the possibility of throwing away 20 plus years of marriage over some guy that she has had no relationship with outside of work, and that I should just call her bluff. Maybe she thinks similarly that I won't throw away the marriage because of one encounter. I just don't know what to do. I empathize with her, and then an instant later I am angry with her. Part of me wants to know who this guy is. What does he look like? What has he got that is so enthralling for her? Is he just a safe option? Is he married? Does his wife know? Would I be a callous a-hole for saying no? What can I do besides walking away? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. This is sad. I'd tell her this. Let me be clear. You have taken away no decision for me that is mine to make. You are free to decide to abandon your vows on your own. Your willingness to preemptively insult any negative feelings I might have about this is a clear indication that you are all out of care to give where I'm concerned. Let's just say that I hear you. My announcement of my own decisions will be forthcoming on my own timetable. Oh, and just so you cannot ever argue to the contrary, you most certainly do not have a hall pass for me. I will consider cheating to be cheating, and more so because this is willful and pre-planned, it's cheating in the first degree. While you may think you get moral credibility for honesty, that's not how that works. You don't credit for being honest, you just get dinged for being dishonest. Thanks for your input, but I don't think she cares. I think she's so confident in me not going anywhere that she is going to do what she wants. It is up to me to accept it or not, I guess. Kinda thinks this is the way your marriage will be from now on. With her epiphany, she wants to relive her life, and she's going to do it regardless of your feelings. I think she's being rather selfish and probably only threatens this because she thinks you are beaten down and will simply put up with it. Perhaps not the best time for trips and frills. She wants a single life. Let her see what that means. Yeah, her attitude makes me think it's not a one-time hall pass. Wouldn't surprise me if she has already cheated. Now for the first update. I have received a ton of advice that I couldn't possibly respond to. I do appreciate the people who took time to offer advice in the comments or via PM. It has been an exhausting couple of days. I was hoping that my opposition to her plans would give her pause, but unfortunately that did not happen. I said I am a hard no, and I am not sure how I feel about you if you go ahead with it. I was met once again with, "This is for me. It will be one time. What can I say to help you deal with it? You'll get over it. We were meant to be regardless of the situation," remarks leading up to Saturday. She left Saturday, ostensibly to meet her co-workers, but in reality sleep with a guy. I asked her to text me when she was leaving for the bar, and when she did, I asked her if she was really going to go through this. After her response of, "I am not answering any more questions tonight. I will see you tomorrow," I blocked my wife. Then I did something either stupid or brilliant. I went to the bar where the get-together was happening. Well, not a bar, but a transit bench across the street. I waited for a long time. It was running through my mind leading up to this event that I need to know who this guy was. Maybe to compare myself against him, to see what he had that I do not. It was driving me crazy not knowing who he was, and what was so special about him that she would ruin a marriage for. After what seemed like eternity, a woman that I recognized from my wife's office left the bar and got in a cab. Soon other people started filing out, and a whole group came out and people were hugging a man and shaking his hand. I assumed that I had my guy. I didn't see my wife, and had a brief thought that maybe she called it all off. I unblocked her and there were no messages. Everyone said their goodbyes and left. Dude was standing outside for a few minutes, and then my wife came out. She looked around, took his hand, and started walking away together. Of all the emotions I went through, trepidation, sadness, anger, it was disgust that really encapsulated the event for me. The guy was short, fat, and bald, all the things I cannot compete with. Ultimately, I felt like a pervert for watching from a distance. I followed until they got to the hotel, and then turned around and went home. I woke up Sunday morning and put a lock on the master bedroom door. I moved her things to the spare room and left a note asking her to find other accommodations as quickly as possible. I visited another friend who is a lawyer, and he gave me some sage advice and a couple of recommendations for divorce attorneys and made the introductions. My wife had been calling me numerous times since around 11 or so. Once blocked, the calls go to voicemail. I listened to the first couple, but felt nothing but some satisfaction when she couldn't get through to me, and she was obviously becoming concerned. I didn't want to go home, but I left in such a hurry that I didn't plan an overnight properly. I got home around 9, and as per my buddy's advice, I recorded the interaction. I was halfway up the stairs when she came up from the family room asking what was going on. "Could we talk? I thought we talked about this." I just answered with, "I am not interested in discussing this tonight," and went to bed. After not getting a response from me through the door, she left me alone. I feel kind of like a child for not talking with her and shutting the door on her, but I just couldn't look at her. Monday I got up and ready for work. She was waiting for me and asked if we could discuss getting back to normal. I said, "You have been doing all the talking for the both of us for the last week. Why don't you continue?" and left for work. I have an appointment with the attorneys my friend recommended for this week. As someone who is fighting cancer, I am infuriated on your behalf. I cannot imagine doing this to my husband. The audacity to say you're not getting a divorce, as if she didn't give up that right with her actions. She's delusional, and what she did is disgusting. Truly, I hope all of her friends' husbands know how easily it was for them to condone cheating. Having cancer is not a free pass to be an a-hole. Really, really sorry, Opie. You deserve better. Good luck with your cancer battle. I think it was just an excuse to do as you wanted. Cancer doesn't make you ruin your life. Second update. My lawyer wasn't available for a few days, so I was faced with the reality of having to live with my wife in the interim. I really didn't want to go home and have any discussion, let alone a discussion about our relationship. When I did get home, I was basically ambushed by her friends and mother-in-law. Instead of taking the remorseful approach, they decided that a full court press was what the situation warranted, and I was basically berated by them. The BFF was definitely the ringleader, but all of them decided to say such things as, "She's been through a lot. You don't know what she's been through. You have no idea what it is like to face something like this. This was a one-time thing. At least she told you. She could have hidden it from you. She will never see the guy again. And my favorite, you are an a-hole for what you have been putting her through these last couple of days." I listened with a stupid smirk on my face, and when there was a lull in their fury, I asked if they were all done now. Then I asked my wife if there was anyone in her circle of friends or anyone else that she forgot to tell about this. I quietly informed all of them that I was going to sit down with their husbands and tell them about how they verbally abusing me, shaming me, and trying to coerce me into staying with a cheater. After I told them to leave, I said that I had no say in the entire event, and so they have no say in whether I stay or not. My soon-to-be ex-wife sort of apologized. She said that she regretted the entire thing, but I said there is a difference between regret and remorse. The regret would happen because of the cause and effect. You have regret because your life will never be the same. Our relationship will never be the same, because you were wholly and willfully unconcerned about me and what I wanted. She asked if I had any questions, that she would answer them now, no matter how disturbing. I said that one question I do have is why. Not necessarily why this guy, why this low-end and attractive unfit guy, but why someone else in the first place. She said that the cancer scared her to her core. She felt like she was rushing toward mortality, and stepping out of that tunnel was appealing. She said that after all this time of being a wife and mother and worrying about family, this was something just for her. An escape. The guy was just someone who was interested in her for a long time, who she knew wouldn't say no. It was completely opposite to me. I said if I was going to risk my marriage, the woman would have to be a serious upgrade from you. I told her I saw you and him coming out of the bar that night. I watched you walk away from the bar hand in hand towards the hotel. I said you looked too familiar with each other and asked if there was something going on before all this. She said no, but who knows if that is the truth or not. I said that after all our years together, your lack of respect for me was astonishing. Then I finished by saying I would never be able to look at myself in the mirror again if I condoned that level of disrespect and stayed with you. I said I hope we can go our separate ways amicably, and that I have an appointment with a lawyer later in the week. I again asked her to find some other accommodations, and she simply said, "I am not going anywhere. We are not getting a divorce. I will give you all the time you need and do whatever you need to recover from this. We will get past this." She has asked me to go to marriage counseling, which I refused. Why would I go to counseling? I did nothing to warrant needing a therapist's advice. I had her served and gave her a notice to vacate. The house is my premarital asset. She has moved in with her mom, but I find her constantly coming by to see if I need anything, or making suggestions like, "What if we had an open relationship only on your side or 3 times?" Which seems kind of desperate and pathetic. Rebuffing her constantly and telling her she has to call to ask permission before coming by finally seems to getting through to her that there will be no us going forward. She has said that she will drag the divorce out for as long as possible, but so far has been compliant. The worst part of all this is telling my daughter that we are getting a divorce and why, followed closely by her begging me to give her mom another chance. I am not sure I would have been afforded the same consideration if I was the one who was cheating. Wow, Opie, you're doing the right thing. There is no one freaking person in these comments, which think like 130 people gathered to discuss, that thinks you're in the wrong. Your wife betrayed you, and not in a one-time mistake kind of thing. She told you to get over it before doing it, and went along with it. I can't explain how disgusted I am. You should tell those friends' husbands exactly what you said. You should tell all of them how they're attacking and harassing you for it. Personally, That would be a reason for me to leave my partner, because someone who condones cheating would not be someone I could be with. Also, you can start therapy maybe. Therapy works wonders, and it will make you feel better in a crappy situation. And please approach your daughter gently again and again until she understands your side. The way your soon-to-be ex is using your daughter disgusts me. What kind of mother is she? Cheating without a care in the world, then acting like this. Her regret doesn't mean anything. Everyone regrets when things are going down for them. She made a choice and is trying to escape from it. I admire her calmness, by the way. Best of luck to you and you only. Thanks. I have told my daughter that she would speak with a professional. I hope my soon-to-be ex-wife is happy with the life she has chosen. After vacating your house, is she feeling any remorse? Or is she still thinking you need to get over it as of today? Going no contact with wayward wife should be easy since daughter is an adult. What desperate measures has she taken that you haven't mentioned in your post and comments? She was stoic and held her position right up until she was served. Then she became visibly upset, then resorted to begging, pleading, and bargaining. Holy cow, OP. First, you're amazing for maintaining your self-respect and dignity. I applaud you. Second, the fact that she had all these friends try to berate and manipulate you only solidifies her making the right decision. She has enablers around her, which means she'll continue to make horrible decisions and feel justified because it's all in a vacuum. I hope you maintain your will and worth throughout this fight. It will be hard. Listen to your lawyer. Also, make sure you explain to your daughter that you cannot allow yourself to stay with someone who chose to betray you, even after you stood by her during the lowest point of her life. Ridiculous. Thanks. It was extremely embarrassing having a bunch of other people involved in this, and then having them involved in something that they had no business being involved in actually got me mad. I didn't say it in the post, but I actually yelled at all of them so loud that they actually started scrambling for their things. How many of them were there? 4, plus my soon-to-be ex-wife. So she listens more to her friends than you? Friends, the devil. Everyone close that whispers in her ear. Let it be. How long can they validate her bad choices? One day the penny will fall. It's actually a good test to see who else to cut out of your life associated with her. Good point. I told all her friends' husbands about how they enable this behavior, and the fallout is interesting. I said that maybe they're covering for one another. That maybe my wife was just the next link in the chain. This got them going through their wives' phones. A couple found inappropriate messages, and now all husbands have made their wives cut off my wife and each other. Was BFF one of those things? Of course, the BFF's husband says that she was definitely in an emotional affair and probably a physical affair as well. He is still digging. Am I the a-hole for refusing to spend time with my stepsister? Backstory. I'm 15 female and my parents divorced a year ago because my father cheated. He married the affair girlfriend like instantly. I think he's a complete jerk and told the judge I wanted to live with my mom. So I do, but they still said I had to go to my father's every other weekend. I don't want to see him, but it was stressing my mom out with court stuff. I agreed to go, as long as his wife is totally hands-off, and I can stay in my room and not be bothered, except for one family activity of their choice. So that's where we are. Every other weekend, my dad picks me up, talks at me in the car because I won't talk to him. We go to family therapy where everyone but me talks. I stay in my room until sometime Saturday when I go out with them to do something fun, and then mostly stay in my room until my mom picks me up on Sunday. I have plenty of stuff to keep me busy, so I'm fine. But everyone else, not so much. A fair wife has kids, 12 female, 9 male. That would go to their dads on my weekend, so I never saw them. But the schedule changed, so now they're there when I am. 9 male is fine. He asks to borrow a video game now and then, but is like polite about it and gives them back, so sure. 12 female won't leave me the heck alone. Anytime I don't literally have my door locked, she's barging in trying to talk to me or wanting to do something. I tried to tell her to leave me alone in a nice way, but last time I just up and told her I never want to talk to her, and I'm going to ignore her from now on. She cried about it. A fair wife got mad, and my father said she's having a hard time with a divorce too, and I shouldn't take it out on her. I told him he could stop forcing me to visit then, and problem solved. Everyone is mad. My mom says she gets it, but 12 female probably is just looking for someone not her parents to talk to. I just don't see why it has to be me. Now for the top comments. I feel like the YTA votes are missing the point. Opie doesn't want a relationship at all with his step-sibs, and I believe that's a fair boundary. Her whole life has been appended, and she mentions that she tried to be polite with the 12 female to leave her alone, but 12 female, most likely with the blessing of stepmom, continued to ignore her request. Also, there was no real timeline given by Opie, which makes me think this has all happened so fast that Opie hasn't been able to process it without adult interference. Opie stated that she would have preferred to stay with mom full-time, but is being forced to spend time with dad. The court system in Opie's state really don't care about her mental health. And she let her bio dad and stepmom know what her boundaries were, and she kept to them. And now because 12 female is around more often, she is being tasked against her free will to cater to the feelings of another child while ignoring her own? Man, that's a lot for Opie. Opie is not the a-hole, but girl, I do suggest individual therapy for yourself. It might help you down the road when the courts revisit the custody agreement, and they might rule in your favor this time. They already tried to make me do one-on-one therapy, and it just made me madder because the counselor person wouldn't accept that having a relationship with my father was not going to happen. The whole goal was getting me to talk to him. Not going to happen. Now that does freaking blow, and for that I'm so sorry. I do want to say this once more and I'll drop it. If this was one suggested by your male parental figure, then I would suggest one suggested by a neutral third party. Because any reasonable counselor wouldn't condemn you for deciding not to have a relationship with your father. They would give you the space to speak your feelings and expand on them, not silence them. If it was indeed one suggested by your male parental figure, that could maybe be a strike against him when it comes to custody agreement. Because one would argue that a counselor was a biased party and a custody agreement should be revisited by someone of unbiased attitude. Stay strong, Opie. Unfortunately, it's often the courts that mandate this type of counseling. The therapist is there to support reunification of the child and estranged parents. I see the benefit of this in cases in which one parent turns the child against the other. However, when a parent has brought it on themselves, like leaving the family for a mistress, they should be forced to deal with the consequences, as in your child wants some distance. Not the a-hole. Your life has been uprooted without your consent. Of course you're angry and having a hard time adjusting. Just try to remember that a fair wife's kids didn't have a say in what happened either, just as you didn't have a say in this situation. Try to remember that they're probably also having a difficult time adjusting and can be your allies in tough times. I wonder if you'd be willing to try to carve out some hangout time with a 12-year-old so that she has a designated time to talk your ear off. You can be like, okay, but I need some quiet me time after this. So I'll do X with you if you agree to honor my alone time. Good luck, girl. I don't want to spend time with either of the kids. I'm okay with lending a game or two to 9 male because then he goes and does his own thing. 12 female is just annoying. It's bad enough that I have to be around her for family fun time. Anything beyond that, and I'm going back to refusing to visit, and the court people will just have to deal with it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for correcting my stepdaughter's dad when he called me her nanny? I've been with my wife for 8 years now, and she has primary custody of her daughter Santana, 9. Santana sees her dad Mark every other weekend and some holidays. As I have been one of Santana's primary caretakers for the past 7 years, since I moved in with her mom, I've taken care of her more than Mark has, and we are quite close. My wife and I went on to have 2 children together, who are now 5 years and 18 months. I've been a stay-at-home dad since the 5-year-old was born, and as a result, I'm the one making lunches, driving kids to activities, etc. That includes Santana. Mark has always felt insecure about my place in Santana's life. I've always encouraged her relationship with her dad, while also been a place she can go to in order to vent about both her parents. I've never asked her to call me dad, but I've made it clear I love her the same as her siblings, and she's also said she loves me and considers me her second dad. Mark mocks me for my stay-at-home dad role. My wife always shuts him down, and I just ignore him. He has in the past jokingly called me Santana's nanny, and I just roll my eyes and say, "Whatever you think, Mark." I really don't see him much, as my wife will take Santana to her dad's and pick her up. However, yesterday, my wife was sick and asked me to pick up Santana. She really couldn't get out of bed, and I knew Mark wasn't going to drive out to us as he's refused in the past. So, I went over to his place to pick her up. He was throwing a barbecue and had some family there. I had never met any of them. Santana ran into my arms, excited to see me and shouting my name. A few people looked at Mark curiously, and he laughed and said, "That's Santana's nanny." I shook my head and said, "I'm her stepfather, Greg. Nice to meet you all." Mark turned red and barely said goodbye to Santana. I didn't think much of it, outside Mark just being Mark. However, Mark texted my wife later saying I humiliated him, and given I'd likely never see those people again, I shouldn't have said anything. My wife told him he's overreacting, and he then texted me saying I had no right to correct him in his own home. He asked what was the big deal in his family, thinking I'm her nanny. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but man, Mark must be feeling really insecure about himself, that's for sure. You're doing great, Greg. Santana is lucky to have you. Can you imagine having so little self-esteem that you choose to insult someone who loves your child? Especially when the alternative is, checks notes, also loving your child. What? No, not the a-hole. And you certainly didn't humiliate anyone. He asked what was the big deal in his family thinking I'm her nanny. Did you respond because it's not the truth? I get the feeling that there's a narrative that bio dad has been telling his family about his ex. And Opie just destroyed it by introducing himself properly. I think it's three things. 1. It makes my wife look bad that she couldn't be bothered to get out of bed to go get her daughter. 2. Makes him look good as he'd never hire a nanny. 3. Puts me in my place, so to speak. You forgot about 4. Tells families paying child support to fund your salary. That would require him paying it, but I'm sure he lies to them and says he does. Next story. Am I the a-hole for making my daughter leave because my husband is attracted to her? I, 55 female, have been married to my husband and my daughter's stepdad, 63 male, for 4 years. My 23-year-old daughter and I have a complicated relationship. She has been diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder. She has a lot of trauma from watching me and my husband's horrible marriage go down and was bullied in school. When she told me she was being bullied by peers, my view that all children are innocents really tied my hands, because I told her that if I said anything to them, I would be an adult harassing a child. She has blamed me for that ever since, and keeps referring to this one time where the kids at school called her trash due to the fact that she wasn't taking care of her hygiene due to depression. Part, not all, of my response was telling her to take a shower, and I bought her new clothes. The bullying finally ended with an expulsion and a suspension for the ringleaders. She still throws the fact that a school clinic volunteer told her that if she was their kid, she'd have permission to punch back if administrators didn't do anything. I thought that having her live with me while she finishes school and gets a job would help heal some childhood wounds if my second husband and I modeled a healthy relationship. However, my daughter now doesn't get along with my husband. She is a very introverted, creative person who likes immersing herself in escapism. So she'd get annoyed if she was sitting eating alone and my husband would sit across from her and eat, saying she ate later so she could eat alone. However, my husband started acting distant for me, and my daughter complained that his eyes lingered for too long. She got very angry, and there was a lot of shouting and slamming of doors. Finally, my husband admitted he's attracted to her, and it's hard to be around her all day. Said she was walking temptation, and said that's why he was avoiding being intimate with me. I was so upset to hear this. I don't blame my daughter for this, but at the same time, the situation has become unbearable. Something would have to give, and I couldn't collect my thoughts with both of them still being in the house. So, I gave my daughter money to stay at an extended stay hotel and asked her to utilize her college's emergency financial and housing resources they have for students in need. She responded by storming out and telling my ex, who is now circling social media, using it to paint me as the villain of all villains. I'm not abandoning my daughter. She qualifies for those resources anyway since my ex is unemployed and we are in substantial debt. I just need time to process the situation and don't want to leave my house to stay with my daughter when I have a marriage to figure out whether or not to save. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. I am very sorry that your daughter does not have a competent, caring mother. I cannot agree more. OP is disgusting. As a mother of a teenage daughter, this is one of the most horrific things I've ever read. OP, you are a horrible mother. Save your marriage? This man has admitted to wanting to sleep with your child. This man, who is a fatherly role, wants to sleep with your baby girl. I don't care if she is 23 or 43. She is your baby, and you chose him over her. Shame on you. I desperately hope this is fake. Please, please, please tell me this is made up. You let your daughter down in childhood by not protecting her, caring for her, nor being attentive. Now you are married to a pervert who is lusting after your much, much younger daughter, causing your home to become unsafe for your daughter. And what do? Throw her out and keep the pervert. Great going there, Mom. You're now 2 for 2. You could have yanked your daughter from school. You could have stormed the principal's office. You could have noticed and immediately gotten her mental health help. But nope, not you. You could have told your husband, ew, yuck, you are sick, and kicked him to the curb, and gathered your wounded bird to your bosom and vowed to protect her. But nope, not you. You're the a-hole for destroying your daughter's life with your piss-poor parenting and self-involved behavior. But she needs to save her marriage so she can show her daughter a healthy adult relationship. Last story. Am I the a-hole for excluding my sister-in-law and her family on a family vacation because her kid is awful? I, 34 female, have kids, 6 male, 3 female, and 3 male with my husband Luke, 32 male. Luke's family go on a big trip in the summer holidays with the kids in a big Airbnb. Usually it is our family, Luke's 3 brothers and their families, and not his sister Anna, 29 female. Anna never wanted to come before, as she was single, and she said there was too many kids for her to be around, 11 kids from the 4 families. And she wouldn't enjoy the activities set for the kids/couples. Anna has been dating Dave, 33 male, for the past year, and Dave has a son, Sam, 12 male. I have met Dave at family functions with Anna. At our last family dinner at my house, Sam threw a tantrum over not liking the food and tried pulling the tablecloth off the table, spilling food and pushing plates on the floor, and broke some of my tableware. Sam also kicked my older son and tried teaching some of the younger kids swear words. Anna and Dave apologized and were very embarrassed by Sam's behavior and helped clean up. However, neither of them tried disciplining Sam, who ran away with his phone given to him by his mom and watched videos while everyone else was cleaning up. I have met Sam 8 times and all of them have been negative experiences. Anna told me that Dave is scared of his ex-wife, so he won't override her parenting, and she doesn't believe in saying no to Sam. Every time Anna tries saying something to Sam, he just reminds her that she's not his real mom. This year, as a family, we had invited Anna and Dave to come along to the trip. However, after meeting Sam, we collectively decided to uninvite them if they brought Sam. This year, we are going to a large beach house for 2 weeks, and being there with Sam sounds like a nightmare, as neither Anna or Dave will stop him. Anna called me up and was upset, as she said Sam needed patience and time to adjust as he has been through a lot. Sam's mom is getting remarried and his dad has moved on, and excluding Sam from this trip was mean. And Anna asked me to tell Sam to his face next time we meet that he will not be coming on the trip. I tried explaining to her this was a group decision, and for the sake of everyone's well-being and experience on the trip, we had all said no to him. I offered to spend more time with Sam, Dave, and Anna separately outside the trip as a family, but she declined and will not speak to me. The rest of the family agree with me, but the trip is next week now, and I am not sure we are actually the right. Dave and Anna need to get a different Airbnb nearby, bring Sam over in small doses, and remove him instantly when he starts to misbehave. They also need to agree, in writing, that they will pay for any damages that Sam does to your rental when he is visiting. This is the only way that Sam can transition into being welcome with everyone else after he has transitioned to your family's rules. When he learns to behave, because otherwise he can't stay, and decides it's more fun to play with his cousins than creating chaos, then he can share your Airbnb. It will be a lot of work for Dave, but he created this problem. No vacation for him until he solves it. I had not thought of this compromise. They stay at a separate place. It's a good idea. Though I suppose they could say it will make it more expensive for them. They'll be paying for their own place instead of splitting the cost of the main house. Still, it would keep them included. Perhaps also, if they agree to that, a family meeting with the adults and Sam and them explaining the rules to Sam before the trip. This is a nice compromise. It puts the onus on Dave and Anna to monitor Sam's behavior. I would just make sure that the rules are clear and add to written agreement that misbehavior, violent, rude, and destructive actions means they leave immediately and go back to the rental, whether things are broken or not. Kind of a timeout for Sam and Dave/Anna, because if they're not going to discipline Sam, then they also need to be in a timeout. Not the a-hole. Dave set the rule that no one can tell Sam what to do. The only thing left is not allow Sam to come. If Dave and Anna can't get their head around that, then why do they want to come and ruin everyone's trip? That is super rude on their part. They are the only a-holes. Am I the a-hole for breaking my promise and ruining my kid's relationship with her dad? I, 46 female, have 2 kids, 18 female and 15 male, with my ex-husband, 46 male. We got divorced over 10 years ago after I found out he was cheating and got his mistress pregnant. I was so deeply hurt by this, and it took me a long time to put myself together again. After our divorce was finalized, he got married to his mistress, and they now have 2 daughters, 10 and 7. Despite him being a POS to me, he was and still a great father to our kids. And to not potentially ruin their relationship, I agreed to not tell them about the affair after he begged me to not say anything, that he would tell them when the time is right. We share 50-50 custody, though since they are older, they now decide when they go where and for how long. I've been as civil as I could with the situation for our kids' well-being and put clear boundaries in place. Like there's no way on earth I would babysit their kids. After they asked me once. 2 years after the divorce, I started dating a woman, 43 female, and we're now married. That's when my ex told me he felt like I never loved him, since it turns out I'm into women, even though I told him I'm bi. The kids love her. She shares some interests with both the kids, and we all do our annual Star Wars marathon on winter break. Then back in January, I started to feel like they were pulling away from us. At first, I thought it was nothing, just kids being kids. But then they started to spend less and less time with us and more with their dad. I was a bit jealous, I'll admit, but I was also getting worried because they were just not communicating with me at all. And when they did speak to me, they were just snapping at me or at my wife, rolling their eyes, etc. It was clear they were mad at us. So in mid-April, when my wife was out of the house, I sat them down and asked them what was going on and if they were okay. My daughter got really mad at me and started yelling that she was not okay because I led their dad on. That I lied to him, I hurt him, and how could I be such a monster to play with a good man's heart? And she stormed off to her room. I was really confused, so I asked my son, who was quiet, what her sister meant. He said her dad told him that we got divorced after I came out, and that I told him marrying him was the biggest mistake of my life. He started crying and asking why would I do and say such things, and that I didn't just hurt their father, but them and our family. Needless to say, I was furious. I told him to come with me. We went to his sister's room. I knocked on her door and begged her to let me in and let me say something, and she eventually opened the door. We sat on her bed and told them that what their father said was not true. She tried to argue, but I stopped her and asked her to let me talk. I asked them to think a bit and do some math regarding their sister's birthday. They didn't get it, so I asked them her birth date. They tell me, and I tell them that 6 months prior we were in Disneyland, having the time of our lives. They said they remember, so I asked them when did their father moved out. It was about a month after that trip. And when was their sister born? About 5 months after. They started to get it, and my daughter asked me if I'm implying their father cheated on me, and I said yes. She then grabbed her phone and called her aunt, ex's sister, and asked her if it was true that her dad cheated on me. She had to beg her for an answer, and her aunt finally said yes. She then called other family members to confirm. They both apologized to me and to my wife when she came home for how they have been treating us. Then went to their dads the following day and called us to ask if they could move all the things they have there to our house. Soon, I had my ex on my door yelling that I broke my promise and that I sabotaged his relationship with our kids. He didn't leave until I called the police. Our kids have since went low contact with him and his wife. They only go over there to pick up their sisters to hang out with them. My daughter disinvited them from her graduation. My son is no longer going to the boys' camping trip with his dad, uncles, and cousins. I've been getting texts and calls and voicemails from him and his family, calling me an a-hole for ruining their relationship. And I've been starting to feel guilty because he is a good dad, and I did broke my promise. My wife says he crossed the line first. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I realized I'm bi when I started having feelings for my now wife, 2 years after the divorce. Prior to that, I thought I was straight. My daughter has been sulking about not seeing something that was right in front of her. She said she had no reason to question anything because her dad and I seemed okay with each other. I asked them if they wanted to go to therapy. My daughter said that she would like to start in the fall, once she's in her dorm. My son just wants to be left alone with us for a while. Someone said I should force them to go to counseling and talk to their father. It's like you don't have teenagers. I did tell them that what happened between their father and I is between us, and they can see him if they want. They just don't want to right now. They are mad because of the line. Not the a-hole. Your kids are old enough to have figured it out sooner or later. Your ex lied to them first to get the kids on his side. You just corrected his lie. They're old enough to know, old enough to make their decisions about their father, old enough to realize their father has probably lied about other things. Yep, ex decided to fool around and find out. OP not the a-hole. As a fellow single mom with an ex that cheated, I've kept my mouth shut. But if my ex ever decides to open his or blame me like the narc that he is, oh boy will that open the can of worms. You don't screw with a parent's relationship and intentionally lie. I'm so mad for you and your kids. Not the a-hole. Respond with, I wouldn't have broken my promise if ex didn't lie and tell them that we divorced due to me being bi. I care more about the relationship with my kids than my ex. He made me a villain when he was the villain. I owe them nothing, yet he tried to destroy me. Screw him. Well, I have told my kids I'm bi. My daughter said he told her that I say that now just for cover, and that I'm not into men at all. And that's why he said I led him on and played with his feelings. And his proof is that I've only been with women since the divorce. That's technically true, but I've only been with only one person since then. Not a-hole. He was a good dad until he did what is called parental alienation, where he told your kids lies about how and why you got divorced. He is the one who broke the agreement by trying to alienate your kids from you. Parental alienation is actually a thing in family court. My wife says he crossed the line first. Your wife is right. His own family even verified to your kids that his cheating is what broke up your marriage. Block the flying monkeys and get a restraining order against your ex. It shouldn't be hard since you have at least one police report on him for harassment. Man, I don't even believe he was that good a dad before. I feel like he got to be the fun dad, and his affair partner picked up the rest with the kids after the divorce. And OP did it before the divorce. Someone who does unnecessary stuff, this serious and dramatic, is not someone who can really ever put their kids, or anyone, before themselves. It's easy to be a great parent when your partners are doing the bulk of the work. I'm also absolutely projecting here. An ex-husband could possibly be a good person to his own kids at least. I have never personally seen that from someone that makes big aggressive lies like this though, and I struggle to believe it's true. Next story. Am I the a-hole here? Husband just accused me of financial infidelity. Husband 33 male and I 33 female have been married for 10 years, together since college. Since starting out, we have made financial security a priority and have been able to achieve that, albeit with some good luck along the way. We both have good jobs, paying close to $200K each. Student loans were paid off within a few years. Both went to state schools with some scholarships, so didn't have a lot of debt to begin with. We live in a house I inherited from my grandmother, so no mortgage, and don't have any credit card debt. We max out our 401ks and currently have 18 months of expenses in our emergency fund and are still adding to it. Our cars are both paid off and should be good for another 5+ years. And we don't have any credit card debt. We manage our finances in a hybrid manner. Joint accounts for bills and savings, and separate accounts for our fun money. We each get a pretty generous monthly allotment. The fun money is strictly for our individual expenses. Hobbies, clothes, outings with friends, etc. And not for things like date nights, vacations, or larger joint purchases like household appliances and repairs which come out of our joint account. We also agree that if either of us gets any bonuses or has any side hustle income, those will go into our individual fun money accounts, unless the funds are needed for a larger expense such as a major home repair. In terms of the fun money, my husband is much more of a spender than I am, due to expensive hobbies, in particular golf and collecting sports memorabilia, and he's also more into designer clothes. Which is fine, it's his fun money. On the other hand, my hobbies are a lot less expensive, running/working out, reading and baking. In general, I'm more introverted, and a great time for me is tea with a friend at one of our homes with homemade pastries. I have also been getting back into gaming lately, after setting it aside for much of the past decade while building my career. So, after realizing I had more than enough in my fun money account, I decided to overhaul my gaming setup and got myself a new PC, desk, and gaming chair. Total cost about $5,000. However, upon hearing about my purchase, my husband is furious. He says he had no idea I had saved so much money and that I should have consulted him before spending $5,000. I asked what difference it made if it was my own accrued fun money and not our joint funds. And he insisted that my accumulating this amount without telling him was a form of financial infidelity. He says he lost trust in me and doesn't know what else I might be hiding. He is now demanding that I return the items I purchased and deposit most of the funds to our joint account. Then wants to make a new rule that fun money accounts can't accumulate more than $2,000. And that any excess goes back to the joint account. A rule that would obviously favor him as a person who spends most of his allotment each month instead of saving up for anything bigger. I feel like I'm being punished for being more of a day-to-day saver than spender. It wouldn't occur to me to demand to know how much my husband has in his fun money account or to try to micromanage what he spends it on. I wasn't hiding anything deliberately. He never asked about it until after I made the purchases. Still, maybe I should have been more transparent about my plans. So, am I the a-hole? Miscellaneous info. Husband and I each have our own office/hobby room in the house, so it's not like the gaming setup was going in a space he uses. I don't usually game when my husband is home, unless he's already busy doing something else. My biggest block of gaming time is typically when he's off playing golf. Also, I run 40 to 50 miles a week, so it's not like I am generally sedentary. I can't think of a good reason why he would object to me gaming or having a nice gaming setup in my own space in the house. Not a-hole. This isn't a money issue, it's a control issue. Seems like you've spooked him by showing you can quietly amass funds out of sight. You are making a good income and have few expenses, so $5K should not be that big a deal regardless of the circumstance. The only reason it is because your spouse thinks he should have a say in your spending. Read freedom. I'm not saying this is abusive behavior. It could be something else, but this is a thing abusers do. Better to nip it in the bud. Do not agree to the new $2K limit. Push back. The only reason it is because your spouse thinks he should have a say in your spending. Read freedom. Bingo. Came here to find us. Opie, money generally means freedom. Freedom to do as you wish. Your husband finding out how you can save such a large amount of money very likely frightens him. He now has verifiable proof that he's been denying to himself, mind you, that you don't need him. If you want to say, "All right, I'm out. Get out of my house, my grandmother left me," he can't say no to that. Opie's got a hand here, and her controlling husband doesn't like it. The fact she has the house should have been enough for him to realize she doesn't need him. My money would have been on. He cannot manage his money without guidance, and is jealous that his wife can afford nice things that he can't. It's funny that he's accusing you of financial infidelity when he is trying to manipulate you into handing over money you saved. This is a naked money grab, not a-hole. Yes, it does feel like he's trying to change the rules and make me feel guilty about not spending all my extra money right away. Honestly, this is one of the main reasons I thought separate discretionary accounts was a good idea. Ironically, I thought it would prevent arguments like this about what we should be spending or saving. Last story. Am I the a-hole for calling my wife petty for not letting me back in the delivery room? So for 3 generations of our family, we have had somebody carry on the name of my great-grandfather. However, despite the fact my dad, uncle, and aunts having 3 boys and 2 girls between them all, so far all of us have either been suffering with fertility issues or have only had daughters. Don't get me wrong, my wife and I already have a daughter and I love her very much. However, given that the other relatives are either planning to adopt daughters from parents who could not raise them, committing to being child-free, or saying they are happy with 3 girls they have, I felt a lot of pressure on me to be the one that has a son. So much pressure that when we found out my wife was carrying twins, we saw it as a blessing from my higher spirit. However, given our finances, I'm a firefighter and my wife is a CNA for a nursing home, the 1 child and done would have been better for us. We contemplated stopping, but my great-uncle, who is obsessed about how many kids people have, was all like, "Well, Nelson Peltz had 10 kids. More kids make you find ways of making more money." And other relatives chiming in saying people with more kids make more money. We were so nervous about the gender that we did not want to know until birth. But that did not stop relatives from coming in, with a bunch of old wives' tales saying based on my wife's symptoms, that the babies were the same gender for sure. So flash forward to the day of the birth. The first baby was born Sunday at 11:20 a.m. I hear the baby crying and then silence from the previously chatty relatives. Finally, somebody, I forgot who, tell me it's a healthy girl and I should be proud. I was so upset because of the relatives put in my mind that if the first one was a girl, the second one would be 2. And I hate to say it, but I was having stress over adding twins to the house. I made excuses and walked out. Went out to the car and cried, and then drove to the nearby cafe to get a coffee to calm myself down. But before I got there, I got a call from my mom saying I had a son. I turned around the car and sped back to the hospital. However, when I got to my wife's room, a nurse came out and said in a rather smug tone, "Sir, your wife is asking that you not be admitted inside." I tried to tell her that I wanted to be with my wife, but she gave me a "you don't scare me" type eye roll. My wife banned me from her room for the next day, and finally this morning she said I could hold my twins. She pointedly made me acknowledge our daughter first, as if a baby understands English, and then let me hold my son. I could not stand it anymore and told her that throwing a grouchy nurse on me and then what she did just then was petty, and I cannot believe her. She got mad and said that she was naming our son the name I wanted, and then threw me out again. Am I the a-hole for going away to collect my emotions and feeling I'm entitled to my kids? Now for the comments. If this is real, you're the a-hole for so many reasons. Financially, you said you would be better off with just the 1 child you already had, yet you chose to bow to pressure from family to try and have a boy. And what makes you the biggest a-hole of all is walking out on your wife at a critical moment when you thought the second twin would be a girl. What concerns me most is how you will now treat those children. I'm sure your girls will not even realize they have a father. Not to mention, Opie, you know that it's your sperm that determines boy or girl, right? And unless you go through medical procedures to conceive, you can't just try for a specific sex. Take a middle school biology class and grow up. You're the a-hole. I find it hard to believe you don't realize that. Your wife is giving birth, and you have a breakdown because it's a girl? Your wife is doing through childbirth, and all you care about is her family name and gender. I swear, if I were her, I wouldn't let you near the children, and I would name the boy something different. If this crap name is stressing you out, then don't put that pressure on the next generation. Again, you're a massive a-hole. Am I the a-hole for telling the person I'm dating I don't have kids? Plus update. Original post. I, 28 male, recently got into a car accident. I'm fine. I wasn't at fault, but my car was a total loss. I'm happy about it though. Normally, I get a new car every year or so, but because of the loan I had to take on this one, I kept it for longer and was genuinely bored of it. My insurance paid me out for the wreck. And with savings and the insurance money, I dropped cash on a used Scion FRS. For those unaware, it's a little two-door stick-shift sports car. The problem starts with the girl I'm seeing, Jen, 24 female, and her son Zeke, 3. I was showing Jen the car, how much I liked it, and that it was a goal for a long time to buy a car of this caliber in cash. She got in, saw the back seats, and said, "Wow, you really can't fit anyone back there, even a kid." I said, "Yeah, but it's really just me driving it, so I don't need a big car. And I don't have kids, so I really didn't need to be sensible." She immediately got out of the car and asked if Zeke meant anything to me. I said Zeke was awesome. He's a great kid, but he's not mine. She asked if I was even ready for the responsibility of a kid, and I said Zeke is the only one I've spent this much time with. But I've only been dating her 4 months and have known him for 2, so I really hadn't thought of him as more than her kid. She said I was seriously immature and acting like a teenager with my stupid car and grow up. I haven't talked to her at all since that conversation, which was yesterday, but she's texted me a few times letting me know how she feels. Her brother also let me know I needed to man up and start taking things seriously. The most confusing part is she drives a Honda Pilot, a whole SUV. So if I need to shuttle Zeke around, I can use her car, and I'm never alone with him anyway. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Honestly, for a short time you all have been dating, you shouldn't have even met this kid yet, let alone be making long-term financial decisions with him in mind. I really didn't want to. I've been child-free by choice, but I really liked her, so I decided to give it a chance. She called me one night to change a tire. I showed up and a 3-year-old was staring at me. We clicked, as I have 43 cousins and a lot have kids, but it's just because he's a kid, and I would be a massive prick to be like, "Get the heck away, you little turd." You are child-free? Dude, run. I don't date parents anymore. This one wants a father for a kid. I have no problem with kids or even being a stepdad if that ever came around. I'm just not actively trying to have kids of my own. I say child-free because it's easier than explaining I've been surrounded by babies and young kids my entire life, and I'm perfectly fulfilled not having my own. But if a future paper has them/wants them, I have no issue fathering or caring for a child. No need to explain your reasons. This Looney Tune called you awful names to lecture you about adult choices. Laughable. Also, her brother can tell that baby daddy to man up, not a young kid she's known for 4 months. Bullet dodged, son. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Good choice in cars. Might not be the best choice in girlfriends. Now for the update. Because I want to just get it out there, lol. The accident happened 2 weeks ago. I bought a new car on Monday and this all happened Thursday night. After she blew up, I never replied to her texts that night. I was upset and wasn't in the headspace to calmly talk about what happened. So I smoked some weed, played GTA, and fell asleep. I worked today, Saturday, and wasn't able to check my phone. I work at a shop building high-performance cars on Saturday, so I need all my focus going to clients that spend $20,000+ on these things. I came home and had a small conversation via text with her, where I then made this post. After, I told her over text I'm not selling the car, but in a few months I'll finance a truck since I need one to tow the boat. I promise I'm not rich, just professionally poor. I buy junk and fix it up. And she did not think this was an acceptable response. I left it alone again and went to my parents' house to hang out with them and relax. She called me, absolutely hammered drunk, It went on a 20-minute ramble about the choices I make in my life and how she expected me to be a better person. I don't want to get this post banned from the subreddit, so I'll just say I no longer have to worry about being Zeke's stepdad or what Jen thinks about my automotive situation. I really liked her, so it's kind of a bummer, but these comments and her phone call opened my eyes to a big pot of marinara flag she was cooking. That's really the only update I have. I really hoped it'd be more dramatic. Lol. I went into this thinking Opie hid the fact that he had kids from his girlfriend or something. But yeah, I'm on his side for this. 4 months is incredibly short, and expecting him to basically adopt her kid after that is daft. It's not like he wasn't open to it, but this is the equivalent of demanding someone marry you basically. Meeting Zeke within the first 2 months of dating says a lot. Opie wants a relationship, Mom wants a family. She's already judging his actions through a "why aren't you thinking about our kid" lens. And even had her brother call him to man up. For Pete's sake, it isn't even his kid. That call should have been to the baby daddy. 4 months, and she wants him to be the daddy already? That's dodgy as hell. Glad he got out of there. I find it strange that he even met the kid after only 2 months. That's just a recipe for that child developing attachment/abandonment issues. I have single-parent friends who won't let a potential partner meet their kids for at least 6 months, and after a conversation that established boundaries and deciding to be fully committed. My mom took me on dates with her, and she let her dates try to parent me when I was an older kid, like 10 or 11. When I was younger, I never met anyone, and I would have preferred if she had continued that. She had odd taste in men. My mom took me on her first date with my stepdad. He was/is an amazing guy, and took on the role wholeheartedly. But it does bother me a little to think that he was more or less emotionally manipulated into being a dad. I guess in the end, it just makes me love him more. Now for the second story. Update. Am I the a-hole for revoking my wife's access to my car? Original post. I, 36 male, love my wife, 32 female. She is awesome and our relationship is solid, but she's a very different person than I am. I am, by nature, an organized and process-oriented person. I work as a project manager and my life is focused around structure, planning, deadlines, etc. My wife is the opposite. She's a creative type with a great career in advertising. Nothing about her life is organized. Everything is haphazard and somewhat chaotic. But this is what makes her good at her job. I understand and accept that and have done since I fell in love with her. We're different and that's a huge part of her awesomeness. She's cool and exciting and brought new things to my life. I love that. The issue. We both have cars. My car is newer and has better tech, but they're similar. But I keep my car clean and tidy all the time, while her car is a mess. Garbage, empty coffee cups, trash rolls around when driving, etc. She hates dealing with it, and because my car is nicer than hers, she prefers to use my car. 3 weeks ago, she's going to a friend's place up in the woods, 5 hours drive, for a girls' weekend. I'm going out for the weekend skiing, 3.5 hours. We're both leaving at the end of work Friday. At 4 p.m., my wife is done and she leaves. Love and kisses, etc. When I finish at 7:30 p.m., I'm antsy to get going, so I go to load my gear. But when I get outside, my car is gone, and hers is on the driveway. I thought, what the heck? Did she take my car? I call her and we have a fight because I'm angry. I have a ski rack on my roof, and the gear doesn't really fit in her car. But she's already 3 hours into her trip up north. I don't want to ruin her weekend by making a big deal about this, so I suck it up. There's no gas in her tank as usual, so I get gas. And as I leave the gas station, I get pulled over. I'm just freaking angry at this point. Cop asks for license and registration, which I'm already looking for and can't find. There's tons of papers and receipts, and all sorts of random things in the glove box and center console. I can't find it. Cop, I pulled you over because your license plate tags are expired. Me, this vehicle is registered to my wife's name, of previous apartment address as she hasn't updated her registration. Cop, there's also unpaid citations on this vehicle. I have to inform you that I am impounding this vehicle. The cop writes up a ticket, calls a tow truck and tows it to the pound. Since then, we have had a couple of huge fights about this. I feel that she needs to be more organized, starting with keeping her car legal. To force the issue, I have revoked my wife's usage privileges of my car until such a point that we're on more of an equal footing, and she's mad about it. I am not prepared to budge on it until she takes care of her car situation. So give it to me straight. Am I being an a-hole about a car? Now for the top comments before reading the updates 8 months later. Not a-hole. Wow, she really screwed you over. How can she even be mad at you? She should be apologizing. Okay, to be fair, she did apologize profusely when she found out what happened. She's not mad at me per se. I think she's mostly mad at the situation and probably a bit embarrassed. But yeah, it did seriously screw me over. Found out what happened? Dude, she's well aware that she got tickets and didn't pay them. She's well aware her registration is expired. She took your vehicle because it's legal and there was no risk of her getting pulled over and the car impounded. She knew her car shouldn't be on the road, and she left you with it anyway. Not the a-hole. Curious as to your wife's point of view though. She took your car without asking, probably to avoid being told no. You end up missing your weekend because of her car. And she's mad because she has to use her own car now? Yep, she uses my car all the time. And I am totally fine with it because we're a team and we share everything. She says she simply didn't think about it, and I'm inclined to believe her because that's true to her character. It's not really an excuse, but she's not the type to deliberately do something secretively that she knows I will disagree with. She's pretty open and we communicate well. In this situation, she messed up, and she knows it. But it's prompted a bigger conversation between us about her being a lot, more responsible. And now for the update. Hi everyone! It's been a while and I've had a lot of requests for an update. A lot has happened in the past 8 months. This issue really opened up a huge can of worms that I am having a hard time knowing what I want to do moving forward with. Bear with me, this is long. So here's what happened since this post. Important context, we never joined our finances. We have separate bank accounts where pay goes into, and a joint account that we both put our monthly funds to cover joint expenses. And it's been working fine for years. We also have separate accounts for things like cell phones, car insurances, and other stuff that we had before we got together. Retrieval of her car. 1. I've never had a car towed before, so didn't really know what to do. And holy smokes, this was a complete crap show. I called the number for the impound lot, and they informed me that before I could get the car back, we needed to pay off all the citations, get the car compliant, etc. Of course, the DMV doesn't open till Monday, so I'm without car all weekend. 2. Monday. We got into the DMV to sort this out. I find out that there are 47 unpaid tickets for my wife's car, going back for almost 2 years, which cost over $1,500 to clear out. I was dumbfounded. I almost exploded and asked what the heck is going on here. And she basically started crying, saying she knew it was an issue but didn't realize it was this bad. 3. She didn't have enough money to pay for the tickets because her credit card is maxed out, which was news to me too. She has a $10,000 credit limit on her card, so I paid it off. 4. Then we tried to change her registration from her old address to our address, which prompted a whole other issue. Her insurance has lapsed. I didn't know this either. So we had to get on with her insurance company to get that sorted out. While going through this process, I discovered that her premium was literally 4 times more than mine, and they insisted on a full payment upfront for the 12-month period, which was $4,800. 5. To get everything complete and a car to be released took 3 days. Then we went to the pound to get a car. $375 towing fee, plus a $90 per day storage fee, so $825 needing payment. Again, I had to pay because she couldn't afford it. We get home and I'm just fuming. This just cost me about $7,000 in a few days. Our first real fight. After we get home from picking up the car, I'm just beyond frustrated and angry at this entire situation and need to have clearing of the grievances with her. This blew up over 4 hours to the biggest fight we've ever had. I thought we had fights before, but this was different. It was relationship existential. It really opened my eyes to the real issue. That being I actually don't really know who she is anymore. So many skeletons came out of the closet in this 4-hour roller coaster of emotions. Here's the highlight. Her money situation. 1. I was surprised that her credit card was maxed out its $10,000 limit. She makes great money, about $25,000 more annually than I do. So her lack of money was unexpected. Then I asked her how much debt does she have in total. At this point, I only know of the $10,000 credit card debt I learned about a few days beforehand. 2. I learned that she had 6 credit cards. All of them are basically maxed out. Total credit card debt is $24,000, all with high interest. 3. She also had 3 store cards all maxed out. Total scorecard debt is $2,500. 4. I also learned she had a line of credit for $18,000, also maxed out. 5. She also owes to various friend and family members about $8,000. 6. Her total debt is $52,000. 7. She makes the monthly minimum payments only, on everything. At this point, I am shocked and reeling. I can't believe it. I feel physically sick. I didn't know about any of this, and I'm at a loss as to why I don't know. I don't even know who she is anymore. We've been married 2 years, together for 5.5 years. When we moved from dating to a relationship, we had a pretty big talk about core values and what was important to be aligned on before getting really involved. Obviously, things like being exclusive are key, but I also said that financial security and being debt-free are very important to me. I made some stupid decisions in my early 20s that hurt me financially, and I had to work hard to get out from under that. I said I have 3 pillars that I wanted to build a future with her on. These were deal breakers. If she's not 100% on board, then we shouldn't continue dating because I was falling in love and I didn't want to go further unless there was a future. 1. Cheating in any form is a deal breaker. 2. Financial irresponsibility is a deal breaker. 3. Family. I want to have kids. I reminded her of this in the fight, and she said that I had come on too strong at that point about financial irresponsibility. She already had most of the debt at that point and decided to not say anything at that moment, which she acknowledged was a mistake because she thought I would have broken up with her there and then. Then she kept hiding it because she wanted to try and rectify it before I found out, but she couldn't. She also pointed out that I never asked about her financial situation, which is true. I didn't. So that was where we were. At this point, I was pretty upset, and I have to leave the house. So I left and went to stay at a friend's house for the night, which ended up being a couple of weeks in the end. The next morning when I woke up, I felt devastated. I had to take some time off work because I couldn't think straight. I kept racking my brains to understand how this happened. How did I not know? How did I not see the signs or evidence? I felt betrayed. It was like I had been cheated on, but somehow worse. I couldn't bring myself to speak to her for the first few days because I was so upset and or angry. I am not usually a very emotional person, so this was difficult to process. I would go from rage to tears to rage to despair in a few minutes. I didn't trust myself around anyone to not be a raging a-hole. She was blowing up my phone asking me to talk to her and come home, but I couldn't. Eventually, I asked my friend to call her and tell her to give me some space and time, which she did. But later on that day, I had her brother and both parents also reach out to me to see if they could speak. I politely declined and said I need time. Obviously, she was going through a tough time too and reached out to them for help. The last 6 months have been hard, but we're working through it. We're both committed to that. But I am still struggling with the enormity of the situation. I still can't help feeling betrayed. I have lost a lot of trust in her, but we're in a couples therapy to get through this. She's trying really hard to make it work, correct her mistakes, and work on being a more organized and reliable person. I see that. She's made some real major changes in how she runs her finances. She's taken debt counseling sessions and is following those teachings quite diligently and being really transparent with her situation. In the last 6 months, she's consolidated all the cards into one loan and canceled all her old cards. The debt is down to $14,000 since this all started, so this is all super positive. So I am hopeful this has a good ending.